What if Joker ends up killing Bruce?
Burn Wayne Manor.
What if it's actually in Arthur Fleck's mind?
That's
Final
what
scene
I
of the
was
movie.
gonna say.
Of course.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Filup Molina. This is Rogue Theory. Today, we're finding out how we got these scars. I have my attackers here to interrogate them. We got Erik Voss.
Hi.
Yeah, how's it going, bud?
Good.
We got our friend Chris Cope.
Hello.
Stand-up comedian. Might have seen him on Conan. Might have seen him in Gainesville, Florida, where I see him.
where we met.
But yeah, when we fell in love. And then Trisha Hershberger.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Guys, on this episode, we're going to get into some rogue theories about It Chapter 2. But first, we got to talk about apparently this surprising fact that the Joker movie is supposed to be really good. And it turns out like it's got a really great Rotten Tomatoes score. But there is a question about whether or not it's going to have any sequels or if it's going to play a role in the broader DC extended universe or not. So that's what I want to get into is how is this film going to end in a way that either connects to it, the current universe, doesn't connect to it, maybe starts its own thing, or anything else that you guys want to go rogue on. But basically, the Joker movie, how does it end and what does it begin?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've already said that it's not part of the DCEU.
Right, but the Batman might also not be part of the DCEU.
Fact.
And so they could be starting backdooring into a new DCU of some sort.
Whole alternate timeline.
Yeah, DC Black, as some people are calling it. That's what Todd Phillips wanted it to be,
Yeah.
like DC Black.
DC Dark
Okay.
Universe.
Yeah. Well, none of us have seen the movie. Yes, none of the
Nope.
four of us. None of us were at Venice.
so these
it's
are
all
straight up-
speculative.
These are all there's
Speculations. I
opinions.
want top 3 rogue theories.
All right, well, okay, I'm going to get into mine. Here's what I think. I think we might be looking at a situation where what if the Joker, like, not only just, like, survives this, but, like, he triumphs? What if this is truly the not just the Joker's origin story, but his victory story? And we see a version of Gotham where the villains are really people like Thomas Wayne, the elite, these greedy jerks who think they know how to run a city. And instead, it turns into this Elseworld-style universe where the Joker is basically running the show. He's
The Dark Knight.
yeah, yeah.
Essentially,
It's his city. It turns into like the Narrows. It turns into basically Arkham Asylum
Yeah, like
games.
the inmates are running the city.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that just as a pure villain character study, I'm super excited for this movie, and I love your theory, Erik.
Yeah, I mean, we know that like Todd Phillips is pulling from The King of Comedy, from Taxi Driver, and those movies kind of ended with this anti-hero validated as kind of a weird heroic figure. So I would love to see that, but I'm going to throw another rogue twist at you guys.
Okay.
What if this whole reality where the Joker is running Gotham and he's a gangster in chief, what if it's actually in Arthur Fleck's mind?
That's
Final
what
scene
I
of the
was
movie.
gonna say.
Of course.
He's
That's
in his
awesome.
he's in the
Man,
straitjacket in
that's-
Arkham Asylum, and this is what's in his brain. It's his own little reality that
That's
gets
a
to
cheap
live
out.
on.
See,
That's
I
a cheap
disagree. I would love that so much. Like, take it full Birdman, where we don't know what's real. It's all in his head.
Especially, what I like about that is that it not from the beginning, right? Maybe this is the story, but it branches out to like, and then suddenly he's doing that cocky walk that he does in the trailer, and now he's got followers and whatnot, and then he wins, and people throw him on their shoulders, and that's the part that I realize, oh no, he lost very severely.
Well, and if,
earlier.
if he's telling us the story as he remembers it, then it can totally track,
Unreliable.
and then
It
it's
could be
up to
twisted and contorted, yeah.
audiences to figure out
Right.
Chris hates it.
that.
Why?
Take it.
I think the way the trailer sets it up for me, like he might be trying to martyr himself. And then you see the scene where they have like the masks on. He inspires an entire city. And I think that also plays your thought of he becomes the hero in a lot of ways. And a lot of times heroes are martyred.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so then let's wrap up. Eric's theory is essentially he wins. It could be all in his mind, though.
Yeah, it's
or
his fantasy.
Or maybe we don't know that.
Or
and
we're
that's gonna be a
left
theory.
guessing.
Yeah.
In the same way that, like,
Right.
the Joker's in the Alan Moore quote in The Killing Joke, he wants his backstory to be multiple choice. So we have the multiple choice option of what we think his reality is.
But I think this is the realistic take. This is
him winning.
no, just the movie in general. It's the realistic take
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the character.
sure.
So it's gonna be more grounded. And I like the idea that it has that origin.
Well,
And
go
you
ahead and go
yeah.
into your theory.
I just think he gets killed at the end because it makes
Okay.
sense. He's a weaker. He's in the trailer. We've only seen the trailers. I'm going off this 3 minutes of a character.
Right.
But he seems weak. I mean, clearly that's how he's supposed to be portrayed. And I think he wants to be martyred. He doesn't have the shoulders to carry the burden. And I just think he just ends up dying somehow. And then that the city.
I'm gonna make you take a stance here. Do you think he designs it for his death, or you also said he's weak? He just ends up dying, and other people turn him into a martyr.
I'm gonna go.
My right hand.
Take your right
Podcast
hand.
listeners, he
Was that
gestured
the
at
ladder?
Find the
my
queen.
right
Find the
mid.
queen.
Yeah.
It's a Joker.
It's so he
Nice.
falls apart and he collapses, and people attribute meaning to what he stood for later.
I can definitely
That feels
see
accurate to
that
history.
happening. Yeah, I mean, I feel like
And
we
this
we
is
see
in a
that
real
happen for
world.
real.
This is they're making Gotham seem as realistic a place as possible. Corrupt politicians,
Right.
corrupt,
But wouldn't it be cool?
Thomas
though?
Wayne's a jerk.
Yeah.
It'd be
Right.
so cool to see himself, to see Arthur Fleck make himself into this sacrificial figure that then maybe inspires the Joker of the comic books that we're more accustomed to. That's cool.
So he becomes they sacrifice him. It starts as a lowly Occupy Wall Street kind of movement, but if there's a death, there was no in Occupy Wall Street is not considered a successful movement, but had there been some central figure of it that was the face of it, and then that person were killed or something,
I
the
mean,
civil
blood
rights movement
sparks
has-
outrage.
Yeah,
it
it
Normally
does.
when someone dies, you're like, oh, this is for so-and-so.
So then it actually is like a successful Occupy Wall Street. They bring down the fat cats, the Thomas Waynes, those greedy doctors.
Burn Wayne Manor.
Yeah, exactly. And then inspire a wave of copycats. Are we talking Jared Leto's maybe? And
like it could be connected to all of them.
Like
maybe.
now every
Yeah,
kid
Heath
wants to be
Ledger.
the Joker.
Right, exactly. Well, this took place it takes place in 1981, I believe, right? So if he has created essentially, he's the martyr, and a martyr sparks a religion or a religious movement of some sort, then he makes followers. So are we thinking that could even, because that I still want to know, is this kind of set up to maybe connect to Robert Pattinson's
I think this is a
universe?
one-off. I think this just makes its point. And
Okay,
But
here,
it's
well, I'm gonna
possible that it
throw
could
in. I'm
be-
gonna throw in an issue with why it might not just be a one-off. There was recently an interview with Robert Pattinson, and he said something about Joaquin Phoenix, and they had to remove it.
they were partying together. and he just
and
let
it
his story
his
slip.
publicist is like,
That was it. You're
he's
right.
the best kisser I've ever known.
They were out one night
Yeah.
on Sunset, yada, yada, yada. Don't print that.
No,
Yeah.
but didn't he say oh, I'm sorry, you have to take that out? That could be a spoiler.
So I have the
Okay.
spoiler energy to it.
We don't know what it
He
was.
had his
though.
comment redacted like the Mueller report, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
exactly. It's there's a lot of spoilers in the Mueller report.
But we do know
Batman number one.
in that interview when Robert Pattinson said that he hadn't yet seen the Joker movie, so it couldn't be a spoiler for the Joker movie.
So you throw out the phrase, "I'm excited to get to work with this guy."
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as we have to put spoiler warnings at the top of our videos for things we haven't seen yet, just in case we
Just in case.
accidentally say something that might end up happening. So what if it's
Sure.
like, I'd love to fight him one day, or I think I can take him, and that itself is
I think
publicist is like,
I think that they would have printed because that's nice cross promotion. They'd be really excited.
No,
Fan speculation would
I agree
go.
with Philip. He said something he should have. They had to go cut that.
Yeah, so I mean, realistically, he probably said something like, "I'm really excited to work with Joaquin Phoenix," and then we
Yeah.
were like, "Oh man!"
Also,
oh!
reminder: it's been a while, but there was a rumor that Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves' The Batman takes place in the '90s, which is only shortly after the
So
the events of the '80s.
it
So
gives
if there
Joker
was a
10
movement,
years.
or
Yeah.
his movement.
Yeah, it gives this moment everybody to matriculate into the crime force that is the sweeping across Gotham the Joker was.
Yeah,
I like
and,
that
and
theory.
still saying it gives enough time for somebody to get a damage tattoo across their forehead, find a sick enough tattoo artist to really go deep like that.
And this idea of the Joker martyring himself could be super dark, which a lot of people are saying this movie is extremely dark. And some people are talking about how it's similar to the movie Network, which ends with someone on air in a massive unplanned rant. Everyone's watching on live TV.
The Joker's
and-
mad as hell.
Yeah, he's mad as
Yeah.
hell, not gonna take it anymore. And what if I know it's super dark, but what if we see a suicide that launches?
That's what I would think.
Because
I
some
mean,
critics are saying this movie's irresponsible. Maybe that's what they're referring to.
Okay, you know what, guys? It just got too real. It just got too
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
It did, man.
Which is the whole point of this movie.
Off-screen producers are making smiley faces.
You were never there too. Go see it.
Like a Joker smiley face wants to go
Yeah,
further
slice
down the
into our
dark path.
faces.
Oh, I know when he does that, I was just like, oh, poor guy.
when he does that to the kid.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
hot
Now,
as
is that
hell.
Bruce Wayne? That's Bruce Wayne, right?
So, okay, that leads into my theory.
Because he looked rich. He looked rich. Little kid looked rich.
Well, any kid behind bars you think
Okay,
is rich.
he's reaching through a gate,
but-
maybe
That's rich.
into
Rich
Wayne
with
Manor,
friends.
maybe into the estate, right? So that could potentially, I would
Be
say, is
Richie
probably
Rich.
Bruce Wayne,
Oh,
aka
yeah,
Richie
right.
Rich.
Right, yeah.
They're good. That's the universes they're
and
crossing.
There's other parts in the trailer that people have speculated that is the Wayne family.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna pause you then because I do want to go into this. So let's just clarify where we are. So Eric has said that he believes that the Joker is going to win the day. He is the hero of the story, so it would make sense that he gets some sort of heroic end.
He's gonna rewrite
but it might
history.
be in his mind,
mind.
or it could be revisionist history.
Everyone's their own protagonist.
Chris's rogue theory here is that he's going to die at the end of the movie because he's a stupid little weakling. That's Chris's words, not mine.
I said he looked weak. I was freaked out when I first saw it. I legitimately was like, "Wow, this is gonna be a trip."
Because this dude's so weak.
But,
Crazy, but yeah.
but in
looks
Joker's death,
emaciated. He looks like he needs to eat.
does.
Come on.
He lost a ton of weight for the role.
Yeah, and so, but he dies. But
That's how
other
disgusted
people,
he was with himself.
he's a Christ figure who dies who inspires a church of Jokers.
Yeah, other people take up the mantle and the argument, and maybe they live on to fight a grown-up Batman at some point. Now, going to your theory, where it's instead of those, it's he doesn't die, I assume, at the end. He lives on, so that's 1981, this older man. What's your theory here?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be some major interaction with the Wayne family that's going to tie us into a greater Batman universe. And I know a lot of people are speculating that we see the Wayne family. We could go the route of the what I consider to be the OG Batman movies back in the day, where Joker kills the Wayne parents, and then that
sure.
inspires
Tim Burton,
Batman.
yeah.
Of Tim Burton's, yes, exactly. But I think, let's flip it on its head, right? So we see him interacting with a kid who's probably Bruce. We see Thomas Wayne having strong opinions, being a very influential figure in that time. And maybe I'm influenced because I played a lot of the Telltale Batman video games. But I'm like, ooh, Thomas Wayne was up to no good. What if Joker ends up killing Bruce? And taking out the kid, and then Thomas Wayne becomes the Batman type figure.
Boom.
But then it also kind of ties in with that idea of who's the real hero here in this story, if we've already established that maybe Thomas is up to no good. And I think it sets us up for a really interesting universe and a much it seems funny to say a darker take on Gotham because Gotham's already so dark, but a real kind of Game of Thrones-esque where everybody's got their strengths and their weaknesses. We don't have a clear villain, we don't have a clear hero type of battleground, and it's all public perception. Maybe it's a little The Boys coming in there.
Right. But I actually think that The Boys is more simplistic than it has to be. I like The Boys, but I think that if you're connecting to basically Flashpoint's version of Batman.
Exactly.
So in Flashpoint, the Flash goes back, changes just a small thing. Well, not to him, but changes something. One of the ramifications is that Bruce Wayne is killed and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. But he is like a murderous Batman because he lost a child, right? Instead of being an orphan, his kid was killed in front of him, and so he's really kind of bad, but he's not evil. He just way overdoes it, right? He's like the Punisher, kind of.
Sure.
And I like that version being the one that could theoretically be up against a Arthur Fleck, because then it is complicated, where neither's good, neither's bad.
Exactly.
If it's just straight up, Thomas Wayne is evil, I think one, it's just a bummer to see like evil Batman. But two, I think it's like then it becomes too easy to know who to root for.
No, yeah, I wouldn't say make him go entirely evil. The complexity is where the story
they're both
is there.
hard to root for.
But people are saying, if we do go the Tim Burton route and Joker or Arthur Fleck's character in this film kills Thomas and Martha, then there's going to be this huge age discrepancy between Joker and Batman moving forward. And I guess we could have like a crusty old Joker fighting a young Bruce Wayne. But I like the idea of it being Thomas much better.
Yeah.
Outside of Heath Ledger, the Joker's always been kind of an older character. If you go back to Cesar Romero or Jack Nicholson was like 50 when he played him.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But how old was Michael Keaton then?
10,
as Batman?
10
in
years
his
old.
30s? Late
35,
30,
36.
Maybe a little older.
I don't remember thinking there was an age gap between them.
Oh,
but
no.
Because Jack just looked that good. But Jack is...
Well, he was covered in a lot of makeup.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Cesar Romero had that style. Like he was in his like the 40s when I think he played. So the Joker's always, except for Heath Ledger, he's always been played by an older actor.
Yeah, they don't need to be contemporaries, but I'll say that your theory of, maybe he kills the kid.
I like the theory.
It could align with a theory that I've heard about where maybe actually Arthur Fleck is an illegitimate child of Thomas Wayne's.
Oh, he's a bastard?
And so not only...
Thomas. So then he's Batman's half-brother?
And he's killed his brother. right? But they both have the same
Now
father.
a Greek tragedy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's
Oedipus
a reason
Joker.
those stories stick around. Those
And you
stories
know,
are
you think
intense.
like, how old is Joaquin Phoenix? How old is Brett Cullen, who plays Thomas Wayne? Like, Brett Cullen's in his 60s. Joaquin Phoenix is in his 40s. That could happen, especially if you think young, early, like,
My
relationship with a
secretary
woman.
stayed over late. You know, that kind of
Illegitimate. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
very,
Alfred
very
watched.
Mad Men culture.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
So, and that could actually work with a lot of your guys' theories, right? He dies, he wins, he lives, whatever. He could still always be this guy's son secretly, which it was so great because then it would really juxtapose with their social class standing, right? Where you just see like maybe it's the kind of thing where the mom is Thomas Wayne's on TV like giving a speech or whatever, and she kind of is like, I don't know if she would say that's your daddy kind of thing. I'm stealing that from Armageddon.
Arthur Peck's playing with a spaceship.
Yeah, he's playing with a doctor toy, and she's like, "Your daddy does."
Christopher
that.
Walken talks about his pop's watches.
Exactly. Yeah.
That salesman's on TV.
Yeah.
You know what's
That's no
interesting is
salesman.
like you mentioned like Thomas Wayne, a doctor. Like, what if like this movie is all about like honestly healthcare treatment for mental illness? Arthur Fleck loses his healthcare treatment. That's why his healthcare person has to drop him. And as Thomas Wayne, as someone who's supposed to be healing the sick of Gotham, has abandoned this illegitimate kid.
Much social commentary.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Do no harm, right? And
Yeah.
then the one that does the harm is the doctor.
And then he pays the
Right.
price for it.
Yeah. All right. These were all. I'm pretty happy this week. These were actually pretty rogue theories. So sum them up for me and for the audience in just a few words in a tweet. Your rogue theory of how you think the Joker's going to end and what it'll launch into.
Okay, the Joker becomes crime king of Gotham in his own imagination.
Joker's dead. The followers will rise.
Cool. I like that as a kid's coloring book.
Joker takes out Bruce, inspiring a way too overactive Thomas Wayne Batman figure.
Nice. I mean, I got to give the rogue for this week to Trisha. That's so
Whoa,
intense.
thank you.
It's definitely
Not
rogue.
only
It's
did
a
she
rogue.
kill off Batman immediately, she started an old man
Yeah.
series of films.
Kid death,
Yeah.
Papa revenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love two old men fighting to the death with gadgets too and stuff.
That's true.
Just
It's
modern
not
day
working.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Neither of them has, like supernatural superhero powers.
All right, guys. We're gonna jump into in a moment. Talk. Oh, by the way, let us know in the comments which of those you thought was the most rogue theory, but also which one you think is the most likely to happen. But before we get into it, Chapter 2, just real quick, thank you to the people that help us bring this show to you. New Rockstars Rogue Theory is brought to you by some very nice sponsors. MeUndies doesn't take themselves too seriously, and they think that we shouldn't take underwear too seriously either. They believe undies should be soft, fit you perfectly, and offer fun patterns that give you the freedom to express yourself. They don't just have undies, by the way, they also have super great onesies and loungewear that keep you nice and comfortable as you rock back and forth trying to push that waking nightmare of It Chapter 2 out of your mind. I personally really love the high-tech fabric that MeUndies uses. It's micromodal. It's 3 times softer than cotton, so it's extremely comfortable to wear just around the house in general, but specifically when I'm working out. In fact, I actually can't bring myself to wear any of my non-MeUndies underwear anymore because it's so scratchy in comparison. That's totally true. I'm wearing it right now as I record this. MeUndies has a great deal for New Rockstars fans. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off and free shipping. So to get your 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Rockstars. That's MeUndies.com/Rockstars for 15% off your first pair and free shipping. All right, back to it. All right, guys, and we're back. And during the break, we had to separate Chris and Eric because they were in this intense brawl. Apparently, Chris is not into this idea of it being in his mind. He feels like it would waste.
It's
your
terrible. It's
your
such a
entire
bad
movie
ending to
experience.
any movie.
You said you
And
wouldn't
to me, it's a
even-
cop-out. To me, that's a
Yeah.
cop-out. Oh, I can't write a good ending. That was all in his mind. You can all go to hell. Bye.
Someone
Eric,
needs to
how's your
rewatch the finale of
Bob Newhart show? Go to hell.
Yeah.
I
Or
spent
Seen
my
Elsewhere.
childhood with that man. He lied. How old am I?
How old are you?
Bob Newhart show.
You were raised by Bob Newhart?
TV Land.
Gosh.
Reruns, you son of a...
You didn't
Look
have
great
cable.
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
63 this autumn.
Autumn?
Old people use the word autumn.
Just so you know, the fall
It
TV
was quite
season.
the time ago.
Yeah. Just estimates in like a newspaper.
It's on a tree somewhere in Alabama. They just put an X.
That's how you mark kids. Okay, so guys, It Chapter 2 is opening this week. I'm a big It fan, actually, and I know a bunch of us have read the books, but I know you guys also. Before we get into what we want to theorize about it, I just want to like establish baseline here. Some of you hate the concept of like watching this movie, right?
Oh yeah, I can't do horror films. Like I'm incapable. I will not sleep
And
for a
you
month.
read the book.
As a child.
Stupidly,
as a child, I read the book, and I will admit I only got so far in before I like threw the book under my bed, and then like for the next, I don't know, couple weeks, I had to run and jump into my bed because I didn't want my feet anywhere near where I'd thrown
the
the
book
book,
was.
just in
The
case
book
like
will
his
scamper out.
arm
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out from under my bed and pulled me under. We all float down here. Like I was like,
Did the book keep reappearing on your nightstand every time you tried to throw it away?
that
Monkey
would be
pawed
that
its
would
way
be
back.
so terrifying. But yeah, no,
But it's just
I
her
can't.
mom like tidying up again and again. I don't know why this keeps being under the bed.
Mom!
You're terrifying
Stop
me.
touching the book.
Yeah, I think I made the same mistake as you were saying this earlier, where I also read it as a child because I thought it was just like R.L. Stein kind of stuff,
Like Goosebumps,
yeah.
Fear Street. I got this.
Yeah,
It.
And then they torture animals and babies in
It's
it,
the
and I was like,
worst.
oh my god, and it messed me up real good.
Messed me up so good to the point where when the It movie came out years and years and years ago and had
The TV one?
yes, and had Jonathan Brandis in it,
Yes,
who
it did, yeah.
any girl my generation was like,
R.I.P.
whoo,
A Disney
Jonathan
kids movie
Brandis.
star in the
Like, we were
darkest
like,
movie.
That miniseries
yes,
was
sir,
so
Jonathan
watered down.
Brandis. Not even his
Sequest.
appearance in that film could get me to watch that film.
Wow.
That's saying something.
Wow, maybe
Yeah.
it was JTT though. Chris, you also,
I was terrified when I first saw that because I saw the miniseries as a kid,
yeah.
and I was like, it didn't really scare me as
Well,
much.
I mean, you were already 48 then.
After being jilted by Newhart, you kind of have.
Yeah, it's like you're burned.
Yeah, Daddy Newhart went to the 7-Eleven to get
Yeah.
cigarettes and never
TV
came back.
couldn't move you anymore.
No, when I saw I
Chapter
saw
one?
like there was times like I literally could not I had no more anxiety. Like this is just too much. I'm like I'm done. I want to walk out
Wow.
because a lot of scary movies don't really scare me. Like that movie just found something inside me that was very vulnerable, much like Arthur Fleck's weakness.
Prostate.
Call back. Earlier segment.
It is inside you and it's very vulnerable. Especially at your age.
Nah, mine's all flared up.
Check, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Man.
piss for anything.
At least you look great for 63. And Eric, you can pee easily, right? Anyway, guys, there was a topic of discussion here, and it's about the concept of it since we haven't seen it yet. Eric actually got to see it.
Early screening.
So shame him.
Finally was able to get
Lucky.
into one of those.
Yeah. But let's instead talk about what might come after this. We know the story well enough to know that it famously takes place in two timelines, right? In the book, it's 1958 and 1985, I think. But now it's 20 years later,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So basically
88
modern.
and 2015, I
Yeah,
think.
nowish basically. And so those two timelines are supposed to encapsulate the entire story of it. But just wondering, it's a huge, huge hit. Are there ways that they can take this franchise and keep it alive, or do they have to stop at It Chapter 2?
Yeah. Could Pennywise become like the new Annabelle, right? Like
I
you
want to
see
see
Pennywise
that. I want to see
origin.
period pieces. I want to see it during the Civil War.
Well, we could
I want to
because
see a bunch of.
You
he's
go backward?
he's every 27 years, right? So we could totally go forward or backward.
Right. Well, in
Right.
the books, they go into those stories a little bit, and what's really interesting is every time the Pennywise the clown shows up, so it's 27 to 28 years, always a little range. To start it off, there's some sort of insane, massive tragedy. Then there's a bunch of murders, and then to end it, there's also some sort of insane, massive tragedy. So if we did go back and tell those stories, I mean, it's like an epic. Every single time he comes out, it's a really epic, intense
Fun
thing.
book.
Yeah.
Bookends.
Yeah, exactly. Very fun bookends.
In the books, right, or in the book, or in the movie as well, they give hints at these past things. There was that factory that exploded on an Easter egg hunt a day. There was
Why
the
would you have
black
an
spot
Easter egg
burned down.
hunt in a factory? It's already
Fair
kids,
point.
Kids
like
were
kids
already
are reaching
working. The kids were
Sharp
already
heavy
working.
machinery.
They took a 10-minute
No.
break for
Right.
colored eggs, and
Yeah.
that was it.
There was a
Child labor
hint
laws.
at a scene where it's like a colonial family. A woman had to like sacrifice one of her kids to the beast to save the rest of her kid, had to turn away just as it was like eating
Ooh,
her kid.
don't like it.
They were gonna do it for the movie, and they ended up cutting it from the first film. So this new thing, like now that they've changed the timeline to be like 1988, so we're looking at like early 60s, there could be another movie. We're looking at early 30s, there could be another movie. Around for early years of the
Depression,
1900s, could be another movie.
Well, you could go in any direction, right? Because
Or the future,
it was there essentially before man was, according to the book at least. It came from space or something, but it's there. It's prehistoric, and then also it could be post-historic if they do what they did. So essentially, why it comes back 27 years later is they didn't finish the job, right? They just hurt it very bad. They could just maybe have done that again. So then, we can jump 27, 28 years in the future again and again and again. Get it 3000. You know, find out it in space, it X or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about the further in history back that you go, the scarier things get because there's fewer things that can save you. You know, like movies were scarier before people had cell phones. Movies were scarier before there was like the internet or GPS or anything like that. And do you guys see The Witch? It came out a couple of years ago. The director is doing the new one, The Lighthouse, which kind of looks crazy with Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe. But it takes place in colonial times. These people get banished from a colonial colony and have to go live on a farm, and then one of the daughters gets seduced by Satan, and it's terrifying, and it's because it's so remote and so removed from any semblance of society that we know that makes it more terrifying. I just imagine, what if we swap out Lucifer from that story for just Pennywise, this entity, demonic presence.
Reminder.
I mean, what if he's on a boat?
Oh yeah.
Go
Eric,
ship.
Yeah, Eric, shut up. A boat.
Titanic.
Wow.
In Lusitania.
That's
You
true.
just take off the T, drop the T, it's cleaner. Titanic.
Titanic.
Yeah, we all float on the water.
Yeah, it's a boat, you
except
dumb.
for those of you that sink.
We all float, you moron.
Except the boat. It doesn't.
Okay. I don't like any of our pitches so far, but do we think they're gonna do it, or is there gonna be an It Chapter 3?
I want there to be.
What? You're
It's
gonna have a
terrifying,
heart
but yeah,
attack.
exactly. If I gotta go, I'm gonna go the way I want.
Go in a screaming in a movie theater,
Watching that
defecating,
deleted scene, clutching my chest.
ruining some
in the
poor
credit scene.
16-year-old movie theater employee's night.
Sir, could you please wake up?
He's done this before.
He became the usher from The Simpsons.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
didn't he?
Oh no, I definitely think they're gonna do an It Chapter 3. I mean,
The money's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The money's there. People are loving it. I mean, even you saying like you don't normally get scared by films, but
But
this
I'm gonna
one made
enjoy
you
it. I'm
consider
still gonna give
leaving
you
the
my
theater.
AMC stubs.
You're not paying anyway. You paid once.
But like,
No, I'm
that's,
paying in years off my life. I'm
oh
63.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That's
You
true.
don't got much.
but like, what a
Compared to
ringing
Golden Years.
endorsement! If they're making money and having immense success with this, they're gonna keep making it. Come on.
Could they do any spin-offs or anything? Because there are. I mean, actually, of course they can. The Stephen King expanded universe.
Right. He's already established all of his books are connected through the Dark Tower,
Right.
And
interdimensionality.
But a fair
Yeah.
amount
They
of
all
his
take place in the state of Maine.
Yeah.
a fair amount of his books turned movie have not been done great. So
Well, we
maybe
have
this
done
is
them,
the
all of the old ones.
opportunity to actually do them well.
Yeah,
We
we'd
send
start
the It
fresh
back
now.
through the mist.
Yeah.
Well, we
that's-
just saw Pet Cemetery earlier this year. We're getting Doctor Sleep, which is a sequel to
Did
The
you guys
Shining.
see Pet Cemetery?
Ooh.
Yeah,
I did.
I saw the trailer for that. That looks really good.
Doctor Sleep looks pretty good. Pet
Was Pet
Cemetery was
Sematary
okay.
good? Okay.
Not too connected. It didn't need to be connected to the rest of the universe, other than things resurrect and there's some kind of cosmic evil that's at play here. And then there was Carrie, the Chloe Grace Moretz reboot Carrie that came out.
Right. I still think they would start it off of it, right? They would now make a whole new universe. I mean, apparently universes don't matter how long they last before you reboot them.
Yeah. Would it connect, do you think, to Castle Rock? That series apparently has a ton of Easter eggs to the Stephen King universe, and just like his books, every book references Derry in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see them actually do Dark Tower well and use that to tie in all of the different books and stories.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if anyone read the Dark Tower books, but it goes pretty deep into its own Stephen King mythos. It's very bizarre to hear him talk about himself like that, but he does, and so it could work.
Yeah, it's a lot of drugs influence a lot of that. But it also feels very much like I made some real weird choices, and you know what? I'm doubling down.
Yes.
And I'm going to explain how this kind of makes sense,
It
even though
definitely
it definitely
feels
doesn't.
like that.
Or he made one weird choice to start using a lot of cocaine in the 80s, and that influenced everything else.
All right, well, speaking of things from out of our asses, how about some rogue questions? These are questions out of our OP off-screen producers ask, and we have no idea what they say or what a good answer will sound like, but we'll try. All right, let's go for it. All right. Today is Bay Day because it's Beyonce's birthday. What a nerdy topic. What role would you like to see Beyonce play in the MCU?
Just Beyonce? Can she just
Yeah,
be
just
Beyonce?
like
She wouldn't be my wife.
Eternal. You're
That's
not
a
established in
superhero
the
role.
MCU.
That's a superhero role.
A character in the MCU, Chris Cope's wife.
Yes.
They're like, who's Chris Cope? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
She-Hulk. She should be
She-Hulk.
Jennifer Walters. That'd be great.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Storm, right?
Oh, yeah.
I feel
Aurora
like
Monroe.
that's like gonna be everybody's go-to.
What? His was She-Hulk immediately.
Mine was She-Hulk. But
I like the idea of She-Hulk.
I like
Aurora
She-Hulk
Monroe
better.
makes a bit
And
more
I'm
sense.
sorry, I say that, Philip, because my first thought was also Storm, and then I was like, no, I don't want to pick Storm though. It's
a bit on the nose.
So then you said She-Hulk, and I was like, oh, that's better.
Yeah,
Fun choice.
I'll steal yours.
yeah. Beyonce is Mark Ruffalo's cousin.
Yes.
As we all
Why
know.
not?
Yay!
Yeah.
All right. NASA is investigating the first crime committed in space aboard the International Space Station. I feel like that's like a Nicolas Cage movie already. What's the spaciest crime you could commit?
Speeding at the speed of light.
Oh, or
It's a crime against nature.
Yeah, against natural laws. Yeah.
Spying on people from Earth from the space station, like using like satellite view. To
I mean, I think
spy
that's
on
why
people.
they're.
I mean,
up
that's
there.
why. Yeah. What's the point? If I can't
Why be an
leer,
astronaut?
if I can't leer, I'm not gonna hang up above the earth.
But I don't just mean like.
Let me leer.
I don't mean random leering. I mean like, oh, this was my nemesis from high school, and like
sure.
messing with their devices and stuff.
Just
maybe.
a laser pointing at
All
Yeah,
you're doing is
yeah.
just logging them out of Instagram constantly. Just keep logging them out.
You don't
Son
have
of
to
a
be on the
bitch.
space station.
I know.
The space station doesn't give you access to
How
people's
do we know these are the
Instagram.
pettiest
Wait, hold on.
astronauts ever?
What are we talking about? Space station, yeah, I thought that was the whole point, is that we hack
It
into
gives you
people's social
access
media.
to Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a monkey up there
Let's
who's doing
see you
it.
try to make a
Chimpanzee,
periscope now,
not
you
monkey.
son of a
And
bitch.
everybody has two-step verifications. That would get annoying very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric, you.
Moon litter. 2 words. Moon litter. There's so much litter on that moon. Cosmonauts are
And
just
that's what you would
dumping
do?
their freeze-dried food and
Hilarious.
Tang packets
Next
on the
to all
moon.
the aliens
There's
that are up
so
there.
much litter on the moon. And yeah,
That's the crime you would commit.
we need to solve that in the real world before we start making movies about
Gotta
it.
find them.
No.
Aliens all
You
over.
invented your own question that you answered there. Robert Pattinson said this week that when he tried on the bat suit, it took 5 people to help him, and they had to squeeze his butt cheeks. That I'm gonna say that's out of context of whether or not that helped him get in the costume. It's just 5 people line up. All right, who? This is how you guys greet me too. Who wins and why? Captain America's butt or Batman's butt?
Oh.
Captain America's butt.
Captain America, he's served.
It's America's
He beat
ass.
the Nazis.
He's got America's ass.
It's
That's true.
CGI.
Yeah. Is this the new like DC versus Marvel debate? Is who has
exactly.
a better butt?
versus
Yeah.
butt.
I mean, hands down, America's ass. It's not even a question.
Well, also it depends on which Batman, right? Because Batfleck's butt is probably just that like wide butt that like hangs off the sides of a toilet.
But like Captain America's butt is like the finest, most perfectly sculpted butt in the universe. So I don't think any of the Batmans we've seen could even come close.
I
in
think
a
we should
contest.
be comparing Thanos' ass to Darkseid's ass.
The off-screen producers are nodding like we got the answer right for the first time in the series of the show ever. Guys, Krispy Kreme has a new pumpkin spice cheesecake-filled donut.
I saw that.
Well, that's my
Pumpkin
cue.
spiced cheesecake-filled donut at Krispy Kreme. I have to go. If pumpkin, yeah, Eric,
Finish up. Finish up.
It does look amazing. I saw.
No,
a
it
picture.
doesn't. It looks disgusting.
if
I'm a
pumpkin
fat
spice,
person. I've eaten shitty food. Would never eat that.
really?
Never in
It's
my
got
life.
cheesecake cream filling.
That, oh my! Just melt a pie and eat that. I mean, good God!
Melt a
I
pie?
don't know. It's just disgusting sounding.
I'm into it.
As a fat person, I'm gonna say that's just gross.
I'm into it.
I mean, as an
I mean,
expert,
you think you take that and you can dump it in a pumpkin spice latte? You sons of bitches.
As a lady that was formerly pregnant, I think it sounds amazing.
well, we all can claim that.
Yeah,
If pumpkin
I'm
spice,
pregnant every day.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
how swole my ankles are right now?
Rough, man.
Swole ankle.
guys,
Ripped ankles.
guys, off-screen producer worked really hard on this question,
I'm
and
sorry,
we're gonna
sorry.
read it. All right. That's okay, Andy. We got you. If pumpkin spice were a superpower, you worked really hard on this one. Would it be used for good or evil?
Evil. It's the calories, man. Trying to poison America.
What even is that
Oh.
superpower?
To change the
Obesity?
seasons.
Isn't it all I can think is like powdered toast man from Ren and Stimpy, except for pumpkin
Oh,
spice
yeah.
man?
Hey, powdered toast man's ass or Captain America's ass?
That's a tougher fight.
Google that if you're
That's
a
a
child
tougher
and
fight.
don't know what I'm talking about. That guy had a weird
He had a
butt.
butt.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely Hispanic. Guys, Rogue Theory this week. That's it. Thank you so much to Erik Voss, to Chris Cope, and to Trisha Hershberger. Real quick, where can we find you guys?
You can find me at that girl Trish with no I in the girl on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and at Trisha Hershberger on YouTube and Twitch.
Cool. The girl with no eyes. Chris Cope. Where can we find you?
Everything's at Chris Cope Comedy, Twitter, Instagram, website.
Sweet. All right, and also look up this guy's stand-up bits. They're very funny. Yeah. And Erik Voss, when will you return to me?
I'll be back on the channel later this week to do some It videos, It Chapter 2. There's, ending explained. There's a lot of weird stuff in this movie, having seen it, that require explanation. And a lot of, weird little Easter eggs and cameos, too.
Great. All right. That's not what my question meant, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much. This was really fun. Thank you
Thanks
guys for watching.
Thank you.
Let us know who went the most rogue. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. You get it before the videos, and follow us at New Rockstars. Follow me at Filup Molina on Twitter and Instagram. And cheers, Chris Cope. You survived the episode.
Yay!
Yeah.
Against all odds. Me and Phil Collins.